ministry and church ministries also in general. He grew up in a Christian home and has been a member of the Adventist Church throughout his life. He is a seasoned master guide and has served in many youth leadership roles over the decades. He remains committed to youth and young adult ministries. He has been blessed with and cherishes the support of Mami Jane, which I believe most of us know him, with her music ministry and youth ministry also. So the support of her also in his ministry. He served as the Youth and Young Adult Ministries Director at the NAGSDA for many years, leading youth camps, CYPs, and then the rest. He has also served in NAGSDA administrative offices both as a treasurer and secretary. He's currently located in Chile Central, New York, where he is a professor leading programs in corporate financial reporting and advisory. At Syracuse University, his leadership roles have included advising students, organizations, and mentoring several young adults. No wonder this is someone mentioned that he is a great mentor. He has served his broader professional business committing ranking leadership positions, including director of multiple corporate boards over the last 2 decades. His role in this area has included developing and supporting other leaders. Now, the charge and the challenge to us. His dream is to see Nasdaq flourish and its leaders, which is you and I, empowered to do better ministry than he did. We all know the amazing work he did. So if he is aspiring to see us do better than he did, then it is a great challenge to us. And I believe that with his mentorship and with all the trainings that we are getting from here and with God's blessing, we will make it. Amen. So please, let's all stay tuned and then listen to him, pay attention so that we can have all our questions also asked and then have them answered. So Doctor, we thank you for being here with us. The topic is effective youth leadership and effective communication strategies. God be with you, Doctor, as you lead us through the presentation.
Amen. All right, Elder Aminiampo, thank you so much for cueing me in and setting the stage for us to have some conversations about some leadership matters that will hopefully get us to improve our game in youth and young adult ministries within our various congregations in the Northeast zone. I definitely appreciate the planners of this event and the ones that got me involved through whatever process, bullying or begging or whatever it might be. We appreciate all of them and how hard they have been working to make this happen. I also appreciate our youth leaders in the zone, Pastor Sam Osei and Pastor Ben Osei. This is the Osei territory. I also appreciate our zonal president for being with us this afternoon. But I want to give a shout out to our previous speakers, or I don't know if I should call us speakers, but we are leading the conversation, and I think that's the way it should go. Pastor Manzueta and Sofumami. Everybody calls her Poma, so let me try to use that name. Something occurred to me that she was going to say something about me and let people know that. So I'll leave it right there. But she has been a great person. I have respected her from childhood and respected her abilities to lead young people and be there for them. And I definitely enjoyed both presentations. I will like for us to have a few thoughts about effective leadership and communication. So what I'm going to do is at this point, I'm probably going to share some slides with us here. Give me a second. Just a few things so that it's a strategy that we always engage in. And the strategy is that if you want people to read what they can read so that you don't have to say everything, use slides. So they will be watching things as you go. And that's what I'm hoping to do today. But as I prepare to do that, I think somebody's going to give me a shout out that they can see what is being shared and things like that. Is that the case? Or it's not being shared yet?
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry. Give me 2 seconds.
Got it.
Let's start over. I knew it was working.
Coming through. There we go.
Is something working?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. I think, like you said, it's important that as we go through all of these things and we get elected in our local churches and we are asked to serve in certain roles, or we are elected by NACSTA or our conference to participate in their various ministries, I believe it's important that we periodically go through something that our leaders have planned for us so that we can better ourselves or face the new situations that are there and be able to lead better and be better, so that as we lead, people will be watching us and they will be doing the things that we are not just talking about, but what we are also living. So that's really important. Now, as I get into that, I just want to recommend this. If you are a master guide, you must have gone through this book at least once before you became a master guide. But if you have not done so yet, I strongly encourage you to take some time and look at that book. It's free. You can get a PDF copy online at the EGY Estates, and please go ahead and read through that a few times. But while my comments today are not heavily focused on the contents of this book, the principles are consistent as expected. And my experiences and some recent developments in our churches will drive some of my comments and thoughts today so that we can probably have a better conversation and have opportunity to talk more about some of these things. So let me begin by welcoming you into Christian leadership. For those of you who are new youth leaders, and of course, if you are an old leader, we are always new. Every time we wake up, there is new opportunities and new challenges. So we are always new. So I'm not only welcoming the very, very new ones that have been elected this year, but I'm welcoming all of us, including myself, because this study actually teaches me more than it will teach anyone else. So I welcome all of us into Christian leadership. Now, in many respects, I would say that this role, and I mean church youth leadership role, shares similarities with other categories of leadership roles, such as social roles, political, academic roles, or wherever we may find ourselves. We have leadership, corporate, whatever. We have leadership duties there, but I would say that the God-centric spiritual leadership that we are in when we serve in the Yaya leadership role makes this leadership role very unique. And when I say that, you will be dealing with saving of souls. And I would say that you are going to be making future spiritual leaders because you are developing all of those young people. You are shaping many precious lives. And we would think that only the Holy Spirit can do that. Yes, but you have been appointed and called to work with God, to work with the Holy Spirit to make this happen. And so in that respect, I would say that several key principles are essential for effective Christian youth leadership within our Northeast zone, within our local congregation, within our district, and within even the various levels of youth leadership in each congregation. But I call these super basic qualifications. So I'm going to start with some basic qualifications. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going to go to your nominating committee or church board to guide them in appointing you. The Lord himself will guide them. But once you are called into this ministry, you need to think about a few things for yourself. And I need to think about those things for myself so that I will be fit for this ministry. Therefore, I want us to check out these few things here as we begin our conversation. And even before we look at how to master effectiveness at our game, the first thing I want to talk about, I probably will label that as a prayer foundation. You got to be a praying person because prayer serves as a vital source of guidance, allowing us to seek wisdom from God as we navigate our leadership role as a youth leader, youth director, I don't know, Pathfinder director, whatever title that you have been given in your church. Or if you are talking about being on the Northeast Zone youth department, wherever you are placed, you have to have a prayer life. And it's really important. It's not just a public prayer life. I know I do value that because corporate prayer is very important to all of us. But for me personally, private prayer can be very emotional and very deep and direct connection between me and God. I tend to put a little more value on it. It helps me a lot to make myself vulnerable before God and really listen to him and really show or build my trust in him that, Lord, speak to me. I'm on my knees. I'm just lying down here and I'm just waiting. Say something and say something about what challenges I'm facing and how to handle them. So, Lord, please guide me. Those are the things that, excuse me, I tend to be looking at when I go through my private prayers. So it's important that we do that. Now, I will also say that discernment skills is also very important. It's crucial to develop the ability to distinguish right from wrong, ensuring that our decisions align with God's will. Now, please remember that you are a physical manifestation of godlikeness. Now, I like to say godlikeness rather than godliness. I'm not just saying, well, let's put it this way. You are supposed to exude godliness. But that young person or young people that are looking at you are looking for God likeness because no one has shown them God yet. Maybe I should say that, but you are because you're the one in church talking to them about God, something they cannot even hear from their public school. So judgment between right and wrong is not subject to any man's subjective worldview. It's got to be God's will. And you have to live it, and you have the chance to represent God before that young person, and you better do a good job, or you better be God-like in front of them and be the right example for them. I would also like to talk about spiritual accountability as the next qualification that you got to have from the very get-go of your youth ministry. Now, I'll say that we need to utilize our spiritual privileges that God has given us or the church has empowered us with. We got to use that effectively and hold ourselves accountable for our spiritual fruitfulness. We need to bear fruit for the benefit of these young people. Now, continuing on our basic qualifications, I want to talk about humility in leadership. This is another important basic qualification in the sense that we should emphasize self-denial and service, striving to exhibit Christ-like behavior in all our interactions with the young people, no matter how young or how old they are, whether they are in, what's that, adventurous class, whether they are pathfinders, whether they're in the young adult class, all of them at their stage, they have some exposure to opportunities to understand God. Or they may not understand, but the information they are receiving that is sinking into their heads will sometimes have a special meaning for them. And you have the privilege of actually carrying this information to them. Now, I'll also say that Christ-like character is very, very essential as we become leaders. because as leaders, we are called to reflect Christ's virtues and avoid authoritarian behavior. As we do that, we are fostering an environment of respect and collaboration with the youth leaders in our local church or in our district or in our zone or in Naxos as a whole or our conference. And we do that for the ones that we are ministering to. And we also need to recognize the importance of collective authority. So collective authority is so essential that we need to respect the authority of the local church. We need to respect our conference leaders. We need to respect our zonal leaders. We need to respect NASA leaders. And we need to prioritize collective decision-making to ensure unity and shared vision. If we try to divide ourselves from some of these people, try to separate ourselves and try to wield authority that's not given to us, guess what? We learned about that in the Sabbath school yesterday. So I'm going to keep quiet about that. I don't want to call nobody Lucifer here, right? You see the story? It doesn't take so much that we can act like Lucifer. And I'm not referring to anybody here, not even myself. So anything where you sort of challenge the system, challenge the authority or something like that, I don't think God is welcoming that. Furthermore, we must embrace continuous learning. If you're going to be a leader, God is always open to teach you, and you need to follow and you need to keep learning. So this involves a commitment to learning from Christ and aligning our actions with his teachings. We get that from the church and from other sources. And this is vital for our personal growth as leaders. So I want to also emphasize dependence on God, and probably with the qualifications, I'll leave it at that. There are several things, but I just wanted to pick these ones because I find them to be quite unique to our group, and we really sometimes struggle with these. And when we have them in place, I think we can do better in our Naxos youth and young adult ministry. So I was talking about dependence on God. Relying on divine wisdom and guidance is crucial. And I think we must remember the importance of humility and prayer in our leadership journey. So as we depend on God, he will guide us into making the right decisions and making the right calls when we are sort of caught in the situation where we got to choose between A and B and so on. And we hearing people talking about A and B and C and D even more. And it is our duty as leaders to really move things forward. So I believe that by integrating these principles into our leadership practices, we can create a more effective and spiritually grounded environment. And so from that, let's go ahead and shift on to, say, personal development. Now, you believe that I was going to give you an easy one, but I'm not going to let us go without thinking about personal development for leadership. Now, again, I'm talking about personal development. Later on, I'll talk about development of other leaders. So let's just look at ourselves now. As we talk through this, let each of us reflect on ourselves individually. So I think that to effectively address behaviors within our teams of, say, Pathfinder leaders, youth leaders, or zonal youth leaders, and things like that, it's important to engage in self-reflection. Okay, it's really important to engage in self-reflection. That's so hard to think about. How many hours can we spend thinking about what others said, did, and didn't do, what they wrote, what they texted, and all of that stuff? And how many times do we go back and look at our communication during the day and our actions and even our speech during the day and think through all of that and grade ourselves and talk about how nasty we were and how harsh we were, how we were screaming, how we were yelling at people and all of those things, and how we flip people off in situations where they were trusting us. So this also means taking time to identify how our personal behaviors may be affecting team dynamics. It's important to not think about ourselves, but what we do as individuals reflects on what happens within our team and how the other team members look at us. So with self-reflection, I just want to also, I think I would like to also talk about let's say personal behaviors. Yeah, I'm going to go to that, but let me remember to say something about this one real quick. I think I talked about organizational dynamics and how our improper actions might affect some people, but self-reflection also affects organizational dynamics and the team challenges that we all face together as we minister. So we must also acknowledge our responsibilities in like contributing to any organizational challenges that the whole group is facing. It could be the whole church that is facing this, and it may be challenging kids that are in your congregation. It may be some associations and some things that are moving on in the church, and you are part of it. The whole church is trying to deal with it. The impending four are trying to handle it. But you, as a youth leader, you have an opportunity to participate in that conversation and the search for a solution. So the way you come out and come forward to them and the way you contribute information to all of this and how your behavior may have played into the building of this toxic environment. And that's what I'm saying, self-reflection. Are you partially responsible for the development of all of that mess down there in the youth room? Yeah, we can think about that. Sometimes we are not completely innocent about what's happening. So furthermore, we also need to recognize that our personal actions can significantly impact team conflicts. So look at conflicts there. If it is starting and it's not going well, it's probably because of how you handle some things, how you speak to other people, and how you segregate between individuals, and how you love some kids and don't love other kids. All of those things can really go a very long way. Now, I don't want to mention lots of names here, but there are situations that one church, I go to that church and we have gone to youth camps many times, and I see there is one leader that just about every kid in his church will be attracted to him because of how he plays father to all of them. And they just feel it. And they feel it. And so they just are attracted to this individual. I can mention some names here. I'm talking about Daddy Boat. So we will go to work, I'm sorry, youth camp, and you see that every kid that knows him will just be attracted to him because he is a loving person and not partial. But what I'm saying here, let me add to it. He will sometimes be as harsh in his language and sometimes with his fingers or his knuckles on the back of your head a little bit. And I saw how his kids reacted to that. They saw him or they knew him as a loving person. So a little bit of a nudge on the back of their head was okay. They understood that, yeah, it must have been my fault because this man will not hit me for nothing. I hope you understand what I'm saying here. So himself, his personal reflection makes him stand out in the eyes of the young people that he's leading, to the point that when we observed this and we were standing somewhere else and we looked at it, we were amazed that these kids got yelled at or something, but they loved it and they appreciated this because it was something that brought them the right kind of communication. All right. So I would say that being aware of this, we can work towards fostering a more collaborative and cohesive work environment for our youth ministries department. All right. Now, two important concepts that can significantly enhance our leadership abilities, self-improvement. Now, I talked about self-reflection. Now I'm talking about self-improvement and unconscious influence. So as leaders, it is our responsibility to create value within the organization. This involves fostering a positive organizational culture that encourages collaboration and innovation. So within our group, let's first talk about self-improvement. It's essential to focus on becoming the best version of ourselves. You have to consciously think about it. and plan on it and do it. How can we become our best version? I mean, the best version of ourselves. Now, this intentional personal growth not only benefits us individually, but also enhances our impact as leaders of the group. So always think about yourself, but also think about the group, because everything you're doing within a group or in front of a group of young people is directly impacting some people. Don't just say indirectly, but you are directly impacting some people for now and for the future. So it's important that you think about it very thoughtfully and very seriously and very spiritually. And by committing to our own development, right? And making conscious effort and plans and investments to develop ourselves, we can inspire and motivate those around us. And again, I say that focus on personal improvement for enhanced group impact. Let me make one or two comments on the unconscious influence, and then we can move from there. I would say that we need to recognize subconscious aspects of our leadership. I think earlier today, some people were discussing the idea. It was during the Q&A after Pastor Manzueto had finished his presentation, and some of the comments were like, these young people, they can hear what you say, but some of them are completely quiet during the conversation, but they see what you do and how you live more than they hear what you're saying. And so your unspoken actions can probably say more or teach them more about you and what you stand for and what you believe and the leadership, and unfortunately, about our ministry to these young people than you might think you are imparting to them. So it's very crucial that you recognize the subconscious aspects of leadership that often go unnoticed, or maybe you don't think about them because you've been doing them and you've been acting that way. The way you kind of do some personal things, your conversations, how you raise your voice, and all of those things. Maybe to you it's okay, probably because of where you're from or where you live, where you work, and home environment. But people are seeing it and absorbing it a little differently. So that self-awareness is something that we can improve upon to make our leadership effective. Now, also understanding how our unconscious behaviors and beliefs affect our interactions can lead to more meaningful connections and better decision making within the group. So by prioritizing self improvement and increasing our self-awareness regarding unconscious influences, I believe that we can become more effective leaders. So with that, let's look at a few other things here. Leadership consciousness, and it's also nice that we see a few other things that are sort of beginning to expand into the group or into the team beyond ourselves individually. I would say that personal growth is essential to effective leaders or leaders. So the leaders from their own experiences and character will impact the next person under them. That will impact another person, and that will keep on spreading through the team. And it's important to understand vision-driven growth. And without vision, mission, and that understanding and alignment with them, I think it's really dangerous if we are in ministry, unless we first understand the mission and the vision. And that should drive our personal development programs or our thoughts, what books we read, where we go, how we pray, who we pray with, who we hang out with, what we decide to teach our young people. Yeah, they need to be in line with the goals of the organization or the broader vision of the organization. Now, this alignment helps us sustain the desired success through intentional growth. So that intentional development that you are taking yourself through, and of course, in a case of a team, that you're taking your team through, As you do that, it allows you to address personal behaviors that may impact your own effectiveness and the group's effectiveness. I will also think that by focusing on continuous personal growth, you can enhance your leadership skills and become a more effective leader within the organization. And I believe that's what pretty much is going on today. There is opportunity for you to hear from different people, to share ideas, and consider the thoughts of 3 speakers and other people that are contributing here. So it all helps us to develop ourselves individually, and with that, it extends to the group. So now I'm shifting to the group or the team setting for our development. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, the first thing I will start with is leadership development. So you remember first I talked about self-development. Now I'm talking about developing other leaders. So some components of a successful organization under your leadership is developing others. And that's, like I said, that's what we are doing today. So how do we do that? Let me share a personal experience. I was trying not to do this, but I think I will go ahead and share it. So it was a youth camp several years ago. I can remember the year, but I should not say it because I don't want to bring in names or thoughts to some people. And some of you were there, and you probably experienced how we handled this, or maybe I handled this. So let me just take all the blame for whatever might have not been done right. So it was youth camp, and prior to youth camp, we have all kinds of committees doing all kinds of planning. So we had a music committee that we had appointed, and we had empowered them from the council to do whatever they were going to do. We had reviewed their programs, and we had blessed it, and we had voted on it, and we took it to camp. So the weekend attendees came, and there were some great musicians amongst them, and they were going to help, right? So you have 2 groups of people that you love so much, you trust so much, you have worked with so much, you are mentoring and you're leading and you're defending them, and you are trying to be the best example to them. So I have this situation where the ones that were leading the music committee and executing the plan, which we have all blessed, came to report to me in the back that some people came and took over everything that they were doing on the stage. And I know I quickly prayed about it, but I also knew what I was going to do, or maybe, I don't know if God gave it to me or it was just myself. But I felt like I need to go set things right. So my thinking in this team setting was that we are developing new leaders. So when we have given them the privilege of leading a plan and charged them with executing the plan, they need to be respected. I'm the leader. I can't change their plan. And if I can, I will not, because I don't want to give them the wrong impression. So I'm supposed to defend them. But at the same time, these other volunteers that had just come were also thinking that, oh, we can make things better. But there had been conflict between them. So I had to come in. Now, let me say it briefly. I put things where I thought they were supposed to be. Some people were not happy, and there are those of them, there are a few people, just one person I do remember that kind of reminds me about my temper. Like, ooh, I didn't know Uncle Kofi was like this. But I guess you see my story. I'm going to leave it there. It was a balancing act. I loved all the parties that were there. I was a leader to everybody that was there. And I had worked with all the individuals that were there. Some of them, my own family members. But I had to play a very tough balancing act to settle the issue that was going on there. Now, I'll say that this is essential for effective leadership within teams. When a team is given the privilege to do something, we need to provide them with the support and the development that they need so that as they lead someday, as we retire from certain aspects of ministry, they will be ready and willing and capable, completely empowered and enabled to move this ministry forward. So we need to focus on providing training and support for our ministry team leaders to ensure they can lead effectively at every stage that they have been charged to do something. So I'll say that also effective team management, it has a significant impact on the overall health of a team, because the way leaders manage their teams directly influences the organizational culture. And that culture will foster a positive environment that can enhance our productivity and the morale of all those people that are playing a role in there. And I'll say that to achieve this, there is a clear need for developing and supporting our leadership team members. And in fact, there is a mandate for us as leaders to develop them and support them and guide them and kindly correct them and put them back on the path so that we encourage them to make changes to their own mistakes and sort of move forward. So when we do this, we're investing in their growth. And this is very essential as it enhances their leadership effectiveness. So we do this by providing training opportunities that will equip them with necessary skills to lead their teams successfully. Again, I'm talking about different teams within one congregation or a zone. So you can have the adventurous team, the Pathfinder team, the young adult team. All of those are very essential components that have to function well for a thriving congregational culture. Intentional development, and I meant intentional development of those people that you are working with is essential for leaders. The reason I'm talking about team development here rather than your development is that I think this is a leadership training. Many of us here are already leaders, but you can't just stay leader. You have to develop somebody. You have to have succession plan. You have to encourage someone else to learn the lessons that you have learned. And some of those lessons are sometimes tough ones or mistakes that you made that you are sort of guiding them as to not make those or repeat those mistakes. So I believe that by focusing on your growth and the development of your skills, you can enhance your impact on that team that you're a part of and drive better results. So this intentional approach to leadership development is vital for long-term success for a congregation, because I have lived long enough to see like generations that I mentored come up to be leaders, and they have mentored others. So if we were talking about leadership, then I can see grandkids in leadership. And this is important. Or the point I want to make is that, trust me, youth and young adult ministry will not stop with you, or it will not end with you. You will grow up, you get lost, some other people will come because younger kids are being born and someone else is still going to get into this ministry. And so it's really important for us to really develop new leaders who will replace us and take the mantle and move on, be inspired by God and be led by the Holy Spirit to carry on. And like Brother Gamaliel was saying, I want to see the people I train to become better than me. Otherwise, it was a waste of my time. They ought to be better. And of course, they ought to be able to do things that are still guided by the Holy Spirit, still according to the will of God and the plan of God, but they still need to do a little better. Now let's talk about effective communication here. I think I will emphasize the fact that clear messaging is crucial in any organization. Engaging with our audience enhances their understanding and helps to ensure that our messages are received as intended. Now, we live in an age, and I don't know if we can call it an age, because today it's like fractional ages that are seeing very, very deep changes that we think are like very, I don't want to get into some technical scientific language here, but it used to be that like you have this age group like the boomers, the Gen Z, Gen X, Gen Y, and so on, and they do things this way. Well, today I feel like the technology is changing so fast, and the amount of information that people have and how proximate that information is to them and how private it is, people are getting far more information in a far shorter time than we used to get. And so things are changing much faster than they used to change in the past. And so a clear and effective communication of our goals, our mission, our vision, and all of those things that we use in ministry is really essential for leading our ministry teams. It also fosters understanding and I would say collaboration among team members. And that is very vital, very important for cohesive work and within our church locally and within our zone and within the entire NACSA and for some of us within our conferences. Now, I will also want to mention feedback culture. Okay. Not a lot of people love this. In fact, they take it as whining from people, but creating a feedback culture so that you hear back from your team members and the youth members that you are leading, that feedback culture within our teams is essential for both individual and collective growth. And as long as the ones giving the feedback do it very nicely and cautiously, that they're not super criticizing, because I hate that criticism thing that we do wrongly. It does not help. It does not even get the leader to understand what is happening. But make it a decent feedback, give it to them. It builds the trust. And for me, if you come to me, give me negative feedback, I appreciate that. And it helps me build trust in you. And I could come back to you about something and ask you, was this good? What I did here, was it okay? Was it appropriate? But that trust that gets built between the two parties that are communicating is really important. Now, I would say that there have been situations that I've had or I have been in situations or I heard other people in situations that I believe really exemplifies this. I was not at the seminary, but at the seminary, one thing I was seeing some of our pastors do, they'll go to homiletics classes. You got to stand up in class and preach a 5-minute sermon. And when you're done and you sit down, they will critique your work. I'm not saying criticize. They will critique your work and they go from your head to your toe. And sometimes it's like, all of those things that are necessary or not necessary about the sermon and not about the sermon. I didn't like your shirt. I didn't like your coat. I didn't like this. But all of those negative things that don't impact the goal of the organization or the team, we can leave them aside. But something that will build the person up and let all of us know that what they are trying to develop is where we are trying to guide them. And so that's really important. And additionally, I think it's crucial for leaders to, at all levels, to show a strong commitment to their work and organization's mission. So as we do all of these things and as we critique and feedback to those in positions, we need to do it in light of our mission. You need to know the mission, you need to understand the mission, and you need to have a sense of where we're going with all of that, which is the vision. And so with that knowledge, you will be able to make a more solid contribution to what's happening, and more useful comments will be coming from you. Now, this component is not only it not only sets a positive example, but also fosters a sense of like ownership and accountability throughout the team. Because that environment or culture is built there, everybody feels like they own the group and the group is counting on them. So they are more accountable in the way they act, the way they talk, and the way they also lead the young people that they are leading. Let me say one of two few things here, and let's move on. It's important to maintain clarity in respect to interactions. All the interactions that we have with our young people, we have to have clarity. And sometimes when I say clarity here or our young people here, I'm also talking about our younger leaders that are learning from the older leaders. So tailoring your messages to suit your audience can significantly enhance their understanding and their engagement, right? All right. And so with that, I'll probably wrap this section up and probably add a few more things, and then we'll go to Q&A. Accountability culture. This fosters high performance among our teams. So if you are accountable and that person is accountable to you, it encourages ownership, as I said earlier, among the team members, which is vital for driving results and achieving goals. That feedback culture, accountability, and all of these other things work together in one to make things go forward. Excuse me. Let's talk about positive organizational culture. We can't skip that organizational thing because as individuals, we do one thing, it benefits us. If it hurts, it's just us. But if it hurts the entire organization, that's a problem. All right. So this influences the positive organizational culture I'm talking about. It influences the overall health of our teams or our youth group and promotes a supportive environment where everyone can thrive. Now, as I say this, you also want to think about the church board that you report to. The church nominating committee selected you. You work under the church board. You work under the elders. You work under the pastor. So your overall culture between your group and the church board, it's important. And sometimes there is a little bit of conflict. It's like we think this, we have this conversation, have this gossip, and then we go to the impending four and the story is totally different. Or it's like them versus us. No, it's not them and it's not us. It's about the kids that we are leading. So put the kids first. Don't put you first. Don't put the pastor or the elders first. Put the kids first and promote a culture that is good for everyone. So some challenges in organizational culture that I might want to talk about. If you have first of all, if you have a toxic culture, it increases turnover. So no wonder sometimes we get burned out. Why? Because it was so toxic that the other willing youth leaders walk away and they leave. And then you're stuck in there and you can't leave. And from year to year, you are by yourself and you're doing it all by yourself. And it's you alone. And you just wonder why nobody wants to help. But it was so toxic, they couldn't stay. And when you have a toxic environment, gossip also develops. And people are talking about what one person did wrong. And that gossip goes to another place. And then it's damaging team cohesion. It's eroding the trust that the people have. So it harms the entire communication system completely, but it can also create a hostile environment in your ministry. It also builds mistrust. So staff may like peers, but distrust leaders due to a lack of transparency in decision making. I think it has been mentioned earlier today, so I won't say too much, but if you are disparate in the way you're treating different people, it shows. Some people see it, especially the ones that it goes against. They see it and they might not say anything, but you probably will be building this mistrust to the point that they probably might think about walking away. All right. I think this one is good. Let's move on. We will not be going very long before we finish this part. So now let's look at some critical ingredients of communication, and we will finish with that. I think I will talk about empathy, clarity, and engagement. Those are some key things that I like to think about. Starting with empathy, it's important to demonstrate understanding and care for your audience. Okay. You need to have empathy for your audience, and you need to demonstrate that you care about them, not just spilling it out at them and telling the kids what they don't understand. And as we were hearing from the last presentation, judgmental talk that you have not even had a chance to have a conversation with a young person, but you have all kinds of comments, hard comments about the hairstyle and things like that. So having this empathy means acknowledging their feelings and experiences and getting them or teaching them or advising them from where they are and helping them to be where you think they need to be. It helps them create a supportive environment for that young person, young man or young woman. Now, I must tell you, I was pretty rough when I turned a teenager. I mean, I think I was rough, but it's something that's probably natural. You feel like you're an old person, and you can't stand it when some older person does not see it. And so you are often angry that they're treating you like you're a kid. Yes, I was still in my early teens, but I felt like I was 35 or something. I thought I was smart. I thought I had learned enough, I had heard enough, read enough, and done all of that. And so I was smart. So the feeling is there, but until you acknowledge it and go to where they are at, what they know, and bring them up to where you think they need to be or guide their development, we could be making some mistakes in our leadership, our communication. So I would say that to effectively communicate with our young people, or the audience that is in our youth group, again, adventurers, pathfinders, young adults, or whatever, it's essential to establish a connection through empathy. And it means not only delivering your message, but also truly understanding and relating to the feelings that they have and what they have experienced as your participants in your ministry and every confidential thing that they are bringing to you. So one way to achieve this is by reflecting back what the participants express. So this acknowledgement of what they are talking about or expressing to you or confiding in you will help them feel heard and valued, which can significantly enhance the overall communication experience. They can come back to you. I mean, they will want to come back to you, and you will have a chance to even continue to develop them a little better. And additionally, empathetic engagement is key to fostering a better interaction with your audience. When you show genuine care and understanding, it encourages them to engage more openly. And it's important to address the audience's current emotional state if you find that there is something very important to address first. And then you recognize their feelings, as I said, and this creates that supportive environment, which is conducive to a meaningful, ongoing dialogue between your leadership team and the young targets, or I would say the audience that you are working with. Now let's discuss clarity, and then we'll have one more for our last thing, and then we'll do a Q&A. So focusing on the main objectives of your message is crucial. This helps avoid any miscommunication and ensures that your audience understands your key point. What does that mean? Stay focused on the main objective of the message. Avoid miscommunication by clarifying your goals as much as possible. I'm not saying this is easy, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect in it. We are all learning to do this better every single day, and that's why we want to keep developing our leadership talents here. I believe that it's essential to stay focused on the main objective of your message. This clarity helps ensure that your audience understands your intent and the key points that you want to convey. I would say that by clarifying your goals, you can avoid any potential miscommunication that may arise. It doesn't mean you have to say it a million times, but just craft it the way they can receive it based on their experiences. And keeping these objectives in mind will enhance the effectiveness of our communications overall. So wrapping up there, I'll say that engagement is another key aspect to effective leadership and effective communication. So recognizing the feelings of your audience, as we said a little bit earlier, about a minute earlier, it fosters a connection and relatability, making your communication more impactful, right? You are engaging them. They are with you. They are listening, and they are absorbing it, and it makes sense to them. So they are taking it as a learning opportunity, and they are promising themselves that they are going to use it. So you are having an impact. That's the way we say it. So for your ministry audience engagement, I would say that it's important to tailor your communication, or our communication, I should say, based on the specific concerns and interests of the particular audience. So if you were teaching kids in some place like Copenhagen, New York, a very tiny little town on some mountain, a ski resort, versus talking to kids in Brooklyn, they may have different experiences coming out of school every day, every week, growing up there for years. The experiences may be different. So tailoring your communication so that it fits them will be important. So during difficult times, showing care and understanding can make a significant difference in how our message is received by all our audience. So in conclusion, I would say that effective communication not only enhances our ministry leadership, but it also builds trust and drives action within our team. And please think about the team. Don't just think about yourself. Without a team, we can never be successful in anything we do. So think about the team and the impact you're having on them, and how you are making the entire environment a successful one, not just yourself. And by incorporating empathy, clarity, and what was the other one I talked about? I think it's engagement into your communication style, I think you can significantly improve your leadership effectiveness. So with that, I'll probably pause and let us have some Q&A here.
Thank you, Doctor. God will richly bless you. This is a very rich presentation. Personally, I've learned a lot. I believe you have too. I will give room to maximum of 3 questions. So please, if you have a question, this is the time. Maximum of 3. So if you don't hurry, someone will take your spot. Who is coming first? A question?
Now, first of all, I have my question, and it's not a question, a comment, but Sister Ivy was very kind enough to put the book that I mentioned, I recommended, Christian Leadership by Ellen White. It's in the chat room, so if you have not taken the opportunity to look there, please look, and every youth leader definitely needs to read that, please. Thanks, Ivy.
Yeah, she's a superwoman. All right. If no question, then I want to say we understood whatever Doctor said there. But Doctor, I appreciate what you told us
Thank
about
you.
duplicating ourselves. So with all the skill that you have, please don't go with it. Make sure you are able to transfer that experience, that knowledge to someone who should be able to come and even do more than you did. I believe that that is the goal that we all seek to reach. Thank you so much. God bless you, and God bless everyone. Please don't go. We're not done yet. Pastor Ben, please
Yes,
take over
yes.
from here.
Thank you very much, Camille, for moderating this session very well. Many, many thanks to you. And Dr. Kofi Appiah, mine, oh mine. I think the good thing we did is that we're recording this, so each one of us can go watch this and take time to unpack it, because that's all you need. If you follow these steps, Trust me, I think that's all we need as youth leaders to be effective and to be able also to know our audience and know our environment, see whether we are making an impact or we just being self-centered. So it is a very good thing, and we thank you so much for taking time off your busy schedule just to be with us. And we know you love the youth, so we also love you back. Thank you. And once again, thank you everyone for coming. Mami Sewa has just 2 more announcements, and then we are out of this place. We want to thank you so much, everyone. Mami Sewa, are you ready?
Yes, I thought we were just wrapping up so that we can go. Okay, so Pastor has thanked everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Our team playing behind the scenes. God bless you so much. You did such an amazing job. Some of the things were like last minute, but you actually pulled through. All of you, thank you for joining us. I know we just about 6 minutes. Maybe after closing prayer will be 10 minutes on top of time. But you were amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, and then also for sharing your experience for those who asked the questions and also who brought the contributions. God bless all of you. So just a few announcements, just 1 or 2. We do understand that next week, most of our churches or local churches will be having your youth week of prayer and also Global Youth Day. We know that you have plans, you have it going on, so keep up the good work. That will be done at your local churches, and I do believe it's going to be in person. For those of you going into the cities, please, youth leaders, help your team. If you cannot go into the community to work, you could do your activities within your church. Get into the kitchen, help them clean up, help the deacons and the deaconesses, take out the garbage, help cleaning the bathroom, something. Just get your hands on something. The next one is our CYP. We know it is happening. Unfortunately, for those of you who are not able to register on time, that discount has been closed. So now you are going to be paying full price. We did post it on the platform. We will continue to remind ourselves as time goes on. There's still time for me to register, but I think now there's a little $50 more charge on there, but that's not too bad. We are blessed, so we'll be good. And the last thing is, let's keep in our minds that our NAFSA Yaya camp is coming up in July. Remind your young people, prepare them, stop preparing them, not just for the fun part of it, but the spiritual aspect of us going to camp, and also the cost. We do know it's $270, and that will be, the deadline is cutting off on May 31st. So if you do not want to pay $300 fee after the 31st, please encourage them to start saving little by little. The McDonald's, the McD's, the rest of them, save up the money so that your parents can add to it and they could pay their fees. So please, as you're doing your announcements at your local church, don't forget your Global Youth Day, Week of Prayer, CYP, and then the youth camp that is coming up. We will be sharing on the platform the other activities that are going to be happening during the summer. So, Pastor, I would like to end here for our closing prayer. God bless all of you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Mami Sewa. Thank you. That's our effective secretary. And the rest of the moderators.
Pastor, can I chip in this?
Yes, it's part of your closing prayer.
That
will be part of your closing prayer.
No, what Mami Sewa said about youth camp. If it's about youth camp, the 31st deadline, we are only asking you to write your name by 31st. The fees can come later, but if you don't write your name, and then after 31st you are writing your name, that is where the $30 late fee comes in. So let's note that, so that you don't have to pay the money by 31st, but let us know that you are going to youth camp by 31st or earlier.
Very well. Thank you. Let your intentions be known. And thank you all for advisors, as officials who joined us, as Pastor, our president, prepares to give us the benediction. I thank you all for coming, and God bless you. At this point, Pastor Jamra,